Hello guys and welcome to today's video, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the best settings for old COD games. That's right, I'm going to be sharing with you controller settings, picture display settings, connection settings, as many settings as I possibly can to help you guys have the best experience when it comes to playing old Call of Duty games. Of course, I've had many of you in the comment section discuss things such as input delay, things with like issues with your picture and display, connection issues, etc. when going back and playing these old Call of Duty games, and I'm going to share with you every single setting that I can to help you guys have the best possible experience with the old Call of Duty games, especially with the rumor that they are coming to the Game Pass at some point, probably in 2025, and especially as I believe the rumor is that MW2 is going to be the first one. I want you guys to have the best possible experience and have no input delay, no lag, no issues, and just be able to have that basic 360 experience through your Xbox One consoles. This is going to help you for playing Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, MW2, MW3, etc. And it's going to be for every single Xbox in the modern era. We're talking Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, any Xbox that takes effect of a reverse compatibility, of course, other than the 360, because if you're on the 360, you're good to go. You don't need to watch this video, but I'm going to help you guys out with these issues. So let's start with controller settings, okay? Now, the reason we're going to do controller settings is because a lot of you have spoke about input delay. Yes, reverse compatibility does have a lot of input delay. It is very noticeable because it's simply, you got to think of it, you aren't playing the game on a native console, right? You're not playing on the 360. It's having to, go back to the game, and when you play online, you have a little bit of delay because you're not exactly on the 360 network. You're sort of like going through another network into another network, etc. And it's not a one-to-one sort of thing. So you do get a bit of input delay, and you can feel that sometimes with your controller. But I have the settings to fix this and help you guys out. Now, this does require, of course, having an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, which I'm going to be honest, is an expensive fix for a little bit of input delay. Now, I just use the controller anyway. I naturally like the controller. I do recommend it very highly. However, it is very prone to breaking. So if you do want to buy one, definitely make sure you get a warranty. I will say that. But I'll cut to the important part. Button mapping doesn't really matter for this. We're going to cut to the important part, right? Left stick and right stick. What I've done here is I've put the assignment, assignment's always primary. Sensitivity curve to instant. This will massively help with the input delay. On top of that, adjust the curve to what I have it here, and then set your calculation to axis independent and do the exact same with the right stick. This is exactly what I do. This is why I have next to no issues. Like, I've sort of had to make it as close to one-to-one as I can, because you've got to think of it like this. The games that we're going back and playing, Black Ops 1, 2, MW2, MW3, they were all built for the 360 controller, which has a different stick tension, which has a different sensitivity, different input, a different polling rate. There's so many different factors. So it feels way different to the modern Xbox One controllers we have. Even if it's not an Elite Series 2 controller or Elite Series 1 controller, even the Xbox One controllers feel massively different to the 360 era. So to try and replicate that sensitivity and get that same feeling of sensitivity, I've worked very hard on this to fix this, because trust me, when you go back and play and you don't have this set up the way you do, it can just be very, I don't know how, a jarring experience when you're trying to shoot and aim, and it just doesn't feel like it's going where you want it to go. So I've done it like this: a sensitivity curve to instant, change the curve adjustment to how I've got it, and set your calculation to axis independent. I can't explain the science behind why this works. All I can say is this is definitely what I use and is what I go back and play old Call of Duty games with and have a decent experience doing so. Left trigger and right trigger set to 0 to 1. Vibration, just have it off. And then color, I've got it to green because it's a 360, of course. We want that nice, lovely 360 color. But some of you won't have Elite Series 2 controllers. As a cheaper alternative, you should go out there and find any controller with a 1000 hertz polling rate, okay? I want to make that very clear. A controller out there with 1000 hertz polling rate, because they are also very good for eliminating as much input delay as possible when playing through reverse compatibility from your Xbox One console to play 360 Call of Duty games. But moving on, let's go over to some more settings, of course, because some of you have said about display settings and network settings. So we'll start with the next settings. Now, without going into a deep dive too much into my settings, because I don't want to share my IP address to you guys, of course, but first of all, try and have a wired connection if you can. If you can't, there are alternatives, okay? You could use power line adapters. If you don't know what they are, basically, I have one and I use it myself. My actual Wi-Fi box is downstairs. I am upstairs from my Wi-Fi box, but I have a power line adapter. And what that is I plug an Ethernet cable into a power line adapter that goes downstairs, and that power line adapter then basically sends the Wi-Fi through my electrical sockets to the power line adapter that I have upstairs to then plug an Ethernet cable into that power line adapter into my Xbox so that I can have a wired connection, have the best and strongest connection possible. I also have IPv4. I don't really mess around with this. Some of you said about using IPv6. If you can, then do so, but I just left it on IPv4. NAT type, make sure it's set to open, and the only way to do that is to make sure that you're on the right port. 3074 is the correct port for Call of Duty. You want to be making sure that you are port forwarding correctly so that you can have an open NAT type so that you can connect with more people. One of the biggest issues with old Call of Duty games is finding lobbies. If you have a strict or moderate NAT type, you are limiting yourself even more. You are having less people to be able to find because the game won't try and find you with other players. So make sure you've got a NAT type of open. And then finally, I'm not going to click on this just because it will reveal my IP settings. Go to your advanced settings and go to DNS settings. And what you need to do is enter one of the two. Oh, I'm going to share with you some DNS settings on the screen right now that I use, and one that, that I feel like are good alternatives. But what DNS settings are is basically a different way of accessing the, a faster way of accessing the internet. Most people will have their set to default, which will be whatever your IP provider has it set to. So whether you're with Virgin Media or Comcast or whatever internet providers are out there, it will be set to default. And those are one of the worst DNSs to use. You want to be using either a Google DNS or whatever other DNS, Open DNS. There are many DNS servers out there. You can go search online for them, and you want to be taking advantage of it because they will improve things such as your download speed, upload speed, latency, and make a big difference to your internet and connections when playing these old Call of Duty games. So definitely go out there and find the correct DNS setting and change your DNS setting now, because that will make such a big difference for connections and making sure you have a more stable and reliable connection when playing these old COD games. And then on top of that, the TV and display options, because a lot of you have said about this, Taz, should I change back to 1080p because these Call of Duty games aren't at 1440p, and should I change from 120 hertz refresh rate to 60 because these old Call of Duty games don't play at 60 or don't play at 120 hertz, sorry. No, I actually play at my full resolution and full refresh rate. Why? Because you have less input delay. It sort of does like an upscaling thing. It's not going to be, of course, 1440p and 120 hertz, but I have less input delay. I have less of an issue, and I still have a clean and clear image. And on top of that, we'll go to video modes because this is important. Now, this is something that you should do, but the only reason I don't is for recording purposes, so I will say that. Variable refresh rate. This is very useful when playing old Call of Duty games. This will get rid of that sort of tearing effect and when the game looks choppy, etc. But as you can see, the problem I have, see here, it eliminates screen stuttering and tearing and stuff. So it will eliminate any of that, I don't know, making the image look off on your screen. You should have this on. But the reason I have this off is because, as you can see, it says here, you may notice some choppiness while playing game back captures when it's enabled. When I record with this on, when I'm recording with my Elgato capture card, unfortunately, it does make my recordings choppy and doesn't look great. And trust me, it just looks horrible. And you probably wouldn't watch the video if you saw it. So I have to have this off, unfortunately, for my own sake. But if I did have the ability to play without, recording or didn't record at all, I would have this setting on, but you should use it anyway. And I'd also allow these just in case, 50 hertz I'd allow 24 hertz. But the rest of this doesn't really matter. If you want to allow 4K, it's up to you, but you're not going to be playing these old COD games in 4K. And then I don't think anything else really matters too much. Other than this, I've got the display on auto detect, 24 bits per pixel, and then standard color space. And that's really it. That is every setting that I can think of when it comes to old Call of Duty games. There's nothing really I think I can add to this. There's many other settings that you can change. Of course, there's monitors, etc. You can go out there and get the best monitor and stuff. I've got a different monitor to probably the monitors that you guys have. But that is it. That is every setting that I can think of that comes to old Call of Duty games that will help you improve your experience with playing old Call of Duty games, from picture to latency to input delay, you name it. I've tried my best to share with you guys all the settings that I have that I think will make a big difference for you and help you have a much more better experience when playing these old Call of Duty games. Because, of course, there are issues with trying to play these games through reverse compatibility. Like I said, there are display issues, there are input delay issues, but I hope this video helps you out, guys. I hope this video helps fix some of your issues. If not, leave down below in the comments your issue specifically, and I will try my absolute best to comment back and help you with your issue and help you have the best experience possible when playing these old COD games. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, let me know down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, notification on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.